don't actually think that you do it with balance at first.
To have a balance with my wife in the business, it is a challenge in many aspects.
A lot of fights got us to that point.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Business Podcast. And so we're going to jump into a healthy balance between business and personal, and business with husband and wife. And so in the previous episode, we learned a little bit about Roché and her journey. And so now, just before we jump into the juicy stuff, Martin, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you decided to get into business.
Well, I also say business always chose me.
Right.
So if you are thrown into life and life happens, you need to do your business. You need to do business. So I think same as you, I started business off at a very young age. Started off our first business, me and my brother, selling fudge. I think I was grade 2.
Wow.
But as I'm quite into organizing, I actually let him done all the work. I just take from the profit. And then also when I went to boarding school, when I was 16 years old, I started with a tuck shop inside the hostels. At the hostels, I know, especially with a lot of rugby players, we eat at 6 o'clock. So around 9 o'clock, everybody is already starving. So yes, my journey started there with selling small toasted breads, toasted cheese and ham bread. And I think from there, I just started entrepreneuring everything. And as I know, you should always adapt. I think that's what me and my wife make it special, adapt. Like somebody in a hostel, from Tuesday, Wednesday, they don't have any money anymore.
Yes.
So now you need to start, selling a bread at 10 Rand, or you can buy it on a lease or whatever you want to call it, but the next week you must pay 15 Rand. So already to add on your profit. So I made most of my profit basically from the people buying it to actually pay off later.
Wow.
Yes, to do a business like that when I was from 16 years old age,
That's great.
It taught me a lot of business skills, and it taught me also how much you can make in business. To say I didn't get any financial background from my parents, from anybody during that time. I been on bursaries, rugby bursaries, almost all my life. And I didn't have any money. So when my friends go out and play and eat and do everything, I don't have money to do it. As soon as I started to do business, then it gave me opportunities. And it came at such a point that I was making roughly plus minus around 5,000 Rand a month for working 1 hour every night, 4 times a week. So it's 4 hours a week making 5,000 grand profit. And
that's
that
amazing.
Taught me a lot of business skills. And after that, doing slabs, foundations, Bakalsdorp, done a lot of the RDP foundations from there, just being in entrepreneurship the whole time. So from one business to another business to another business, just learning, and everything is basically to be streetwise and adapt. Because everybody will say, especially my wife will say, business is structure. And yes, I believe it. There needs to be structures and everything in place. But in business, always it's a moving, growing situation. So for me, it's important she bring the balance of structure, and I bring the balance of a lot of new innovation and new ways of doing things.
Wow. That's amazing. And so, I mean, like, I almost just want to encourage the listeners as well, especially young people that want to start. You know, you said you spoke about a tuck shop. When I started off a tuck shop, so I think a tuck shop is maybe the way to go when you want to start. Like, just put yourself out there, go and buy a couple of packets of chips, go and sell them at a profit, and just start somewhere. And I think that's the important thing. And it's crazy. Like, it's once again, you need to be pushed out of your comfort zone. It's something that pushes you the whole time. You know, you needed to make money. You needed to get to a point where you said, I need to find some kind of resource in order to sustain myself. So now we get to the point where obviously when you started your business as well at a young age, you are married as young people, right? And so marriage at a young age has its own challenges, right? So where did you guys find a balance in terms of business in the beginning with your marriage that goes through multiple phases of learning and learning about each other, learning from each other, learning each other personally, versus now having to build something up of a business as well, which is starting off as an infant essentially?
I don't actually think that you do it with balance at first.
What is balance?
It just didn't happen that way. So, I think with doing business together, being newly married, as you said, starting to have kids, you need to adapt the whole time. You can't think this is the way you're going to do it and you're just going to go on the same way.
Yes.
Definitely, I think that structure does help. Boundaries helps. And just to listen to each other at the end of the day.
Yeah.
At first, I think we both wanted to talk the whole time, but there wasn't a lot of listening being done. So I think if you can allow each other to talk and actually listen to what that person has to say, and understanding what they're trying to say and really wanting to understand what they say, I think that can help you through a lot of troubles that we might have had to go through if you can start to listen. Because you do discover that, but it sometimes takes about 10 years to figure it out.
I think from my side, I think a lot of people will say during our journey, people will say, yes, you changed a lot. And the real truth is, if you didn't change the last 10 years, the last 15 years, it meant you didn't grow anything. So 100%. Change is gonna happen.
Yes.
But still to keep each other accountable for where we started off. And not to just hammer on all the negative stuff, but to basically bring the joy back. For a simple example, I'm from Limpopo, so I just enjoy the ocean a lot. So when we do installation slabs, whatever we're doing, building a house or whatever we're doing, we always drive with our boogie boards in the back of the bakkie, in the tools and everything. And then if we get a chance quickly, when we're driving past the ocean, the water looks nice, we're hot, I always stop, take our team down, we take a swim, come out, and it just gives you that refreshing, not just to pressure, hurry, just to force everything, to have a balance. And to have a balance with my wife in the business, it is a challenge in many aspects. And I think also what you must understand is to focus a lot on the positive, because there is a lot of negative. So when there's a lot of negative, not just to focus on the negative, but see where you started off, and then also the persons what we became, what business made us, is not the same persons what we are at the moment. And to give people the grace of growing. Do not say you changed or you are a different person. But to also stimulate the good of every person.
So, in the beginning, so my wife and I are also together in business, and I think in the beginning what was so difficult for us is we were running business from home, and so now it's 24/7, it's business and it's marriage. And so we struggled to really get to a point where we separated our business from our married life, and that caused friction on its own. And so there was so much that we had to do, and so much growth that we had to each individually experience in order to make that split. So for you guys, maybe put it in perspective, right? How many years are you in business? How many years are you married? Okay. So that the listeners can just understand.
So we've been married for 11 years and we're in business for, I think, about 13.
That's amazing, right? So basically the whole time that you've been married, you've been in business together. So where did you initially in the first podcast we mentioned as well, you said that there came a point in time where you started taking a certain sector in the business and Martin took a certain aspect, but it needed to get to that point, right? So what drove you to a point that said, like, we need to, for the sake of our marriage, split the divisions and priorities in the business, and how did you get to that point?
A lot of fights got us to that point. Yeah, and I think that like we obviously had a lot of fights between like whose responsibility is this, and obviously because I'm the administrative one, I'm expected to do the payments and the financial part of it all and whatever, and he's the technical guy, so he needs to do the site work. And I think we kind of got to a point, obviously because we married young as well. I was 20 when we got married.
Wow.
So I think you were 23 at that stage, and so we were very young, so we got to grow together. Obviously making mistakes together as well.
Yes.
And I think a lot of mistakes, going through the motions at the end of the day, seeing what works and what doesn't. Because you're not gonna, if you start your own business, it's not just gonna be like everything flows, everything works well. You're gonna get struggles, you're gonna have tough times, and that is the things that you need to sit down and analyze, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
We sat down together and said, right, this isn't working. I can't tell you how many 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night fights we actually had, trying to figure out the balance of how we're going to handle this.
Yes.
Sitting and talking about it and say, okay, listen, this didn't work.
No.
We can't do this way. Because it's obviously not working. It's causing us to fight. We're constantly having the same fight over and over again. And obviously, guys don't like to talk a lot, so I did most of the talking. And sometimes he did some listening as well. So yeah, I think just to talk through it and find the problems and find the solutions at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think for me, it from the beginning, it was a journey of success, focusing on the success, focusing on what can be achieved and what is already achieved.
Yes.
And luckily I've got Google here on my left hand side. So I think it's interesting if you've got a lot of talents, to actually use the talents the right way.
Yes.
Because you can keep yourself busy a lot with stuff what is not important.
Yes.
And with that said, I think it's also important for you to have a balance in your relationship. So I talk a lot to older people in business. I will say like mentors, but it's more for me asking them questions and helping me out a lot. Basic house rules, basically coming when I get that out. At the house, at home, I leave my cell phone in the car. I don't even take it out till the children goes to bed.
Yes.
And I think when you get children as well, then we've got 3 children, 2 boys, 1 daughter, and that's also bring a whole nother mix to everything. So
you're adapting a lot.
Yes, you're adapting
every change in your life.
Yes, you're adapting the whole time. And I also think what we made us special is we didn't take a business already with structure. From the beginning, we started our own structure, our own systems, our own everything. So I think that is making a big difference in how you do business today, because you can take old business and with old structures and it will not work today. So I think that adapting the whole time.
And that's amazing, because actually when you look at marriage as well, right, in the beginning you forming the culture of your house, and you need to, like Martin, you need to lead your wife and your children, and you need to lead the household because you're the priest of the house. And I think so it's actually, for me, such a big benefit to start business off with your husband or your wife, because yes, there's challenging times, but it's so beautiful when it comes together because you always have that support, right? And I think that's the one thing that small businesses lack quite a lot. It's having community that encourages them, having community that looks after them and everything. And I think what is such a great aspect is just having somebody that says, listen, we're going to get through this. Let's do another day. But I think there's so much actually that I still wanted to touch on in everything, but our time is running out. So I just want to, like, from each one's perspective, just quickly, would you encourage spouses to get into business together?
Definitely, yes. I think the first reaction would be, no, don't do it. But yes, at the end of the day, if you set down your ground rules, you set down your boundaries, you put structure into place with regards to your family, your business, your personal life, because we sometimes tend to forget that we have needs as well.
Yeah.
We also need to spend time on me. If you
Yes.
look at when you're in a plane and the air runs out, what do you need to do first? Put on your own mask.
Yeah.
And to remember to first look after you, then your family, and then the business. And I think if you can get that structure into place before you even start off,
Yeah.
your journey will be just so much smoother
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yes, for me, I think it's basically just to say, I've got a limited amount of skills. It's a lot, but it's still limited. And she's got a limited amount of skills, it's also a lot. But if you combine it, we've got double the amount of skills. To say basically just to understand you can double your skills if you're working together. While if you've got employees, you'll not necessarily double your skills.
Yeah, great stuff. Martin and Roché, thank you so much for being here. And looking forward for our next episode with Roché to speak about women in business. Follow our social media pages and follow us on the Buzzing app. Looking forward for the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.